The United States Bureau of Prisons was created within the Department of Justice by an act of Congress in 1930. The Bureau's purpose was to centralize the administration of federal prisons. Within a few years, Bureau officials opened an institution like no other. That prison, Alcatraz, would become a powerful symbol of brutal repression and, later, of Native American rights. And it would generate endless public fascination. The site chosen was a 12-acre island of solid rock in San Francisco Bay. Alcatraz had been under federal control since the 1850s when the U.S. Army built a fort, installed artillery, and also began using the island as a military prison. The fort was eventually deemed obsolete and was torn down in the early 20th century. A new military prison was built on its foundations. The military used the prison on Alcatraz until 1933, when it was transferred to the U.S. Bureau of Prisons. The opening of Alcatraz as a federal prison served two purposes. It moved problematic prisoners to an isolated location, and it signaled to the public that something serious was being done in the gangster era of the 1930s. In the summer of 1934, the first inmates at Alcatraz were transferred from other federal prisons. Alcatraz usually held fewer than 300 inmates at any one time. The prisoners selected for Alcatraz were considered troublemakers. They had been violent while in prison, or they had tried to organize escapes. Al Capone, the notorious Chicago gangster, was one of the first arrivals at Alcatraz. His celebrity status made him a disruptive problem for the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary, where he was initially held. At Alcatraz, he was just inmate number 85. A prisoner's day was highly regulated in Alcatraz. Most prisoners were assigned jobs in the prison workshops. Each prisoner had their own small cell. Prisoners were kept isolated from society and had little idea of the news outside. To the public, Alcatraz represented a place where convicts were put away forever. Yet, to the Bureau of Prisons, the purpose of time spent on the Rock, as it was known, was to make prisoners suitable to return to more ordinary prisons. There were weekend recreational activities at Alcatraz. Baseball teams were a popular diversion, and amazingly, there was even an Alcatraz inmate band. Despite the close control of prisoners, some would attack correctional officers or other prisoners. There were some notable escape attempts. In May 1946, a failed attempt to escape from Alcatraz made headlines for days when prisoners managed to seize firearms. Order was restored when U.S. Marines joined the fight. 2 officers and 3 inmates died, and a number of officers were wounded. A 1962 escape attempt became legendary. 3 men dug through the back walls of their cells, fooling officers on patrol by placing dummy heads crafted of plaster in their beds. They managed to reach the water, but it is believed they drowned in the bay's strong currents. No trace of them has ever been found. The island wasn't home only to prisoners. Bureau of Prison employees also lived on the island, often with their families. A boat would ferry children who lived on the island to school in San Francisco every day. As everything on the island, including drinking water, had to be brought in by boat or barge, Alcatraz was very expensive to operate. The prison closed in March 1963. The island was vacant until a group of Native American activists occupied the island as a protest in 1969. The Alcatraz occupation lasted for 19 months until federal agents removed the final handful of protesters in June 1971. In 1972, Alcatraz Island became part of the National Park Service's Golden Gate National Recreation Area. In 1973, it was opened as a National Historic Landmark. During its 29 years as a federal prison, approximately 1,500 prisoners did time on the Rock. The island now welcomes more than 1.5 million visitors a year. This video was brought to you by the Public Education Project, an independent nonprofit group dedicated to improving public knowledge of the government by sharing the rich history and exciting stories of the federal agencies that serve our nation. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe now to start your journey into the fascinating history of the U.S. government today. If you'd like to delve deeper into the rich history of the Bureau of Prisons or any other federal agency, be sure to visit our Agency Histories page at publiceducationproject.org. Featuring nearly 250 detailed pages showcasing the diverse stories of agencies dating back to the nation's founding. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook so you don't miss out on new videos and updates.